Something that is quite special about R that I like a lot is called special functions. So what are special functions? Special functions allow me to bring in arguments in a different way than the usual function. So for example, a really popular special function is the Magritte pipe. What this does, it takes the first argument and puts it into the function that is the second argument. And you can define your own special functions in the following way. So you could put between commas, whatever, percentage something percentage. So for example, one that I usually use is percentage not in percentage. What does this do? When I have complex if else statements and I don't want to have to put parentheses and bangs and stuff, I usually just use not in. So I define this as a function of a and b in which I just return bang a and b. So this is exactly the opposite than percentage in percentage. If I run this, and let's say, for example, I have a in letters. If I run this, it's going to give us true. But now I can do a not in, letters. If I run this, it's going to give us false. So this takes out the trouble of going bang parenthesis a in letters and then and something else, and I just put not in. That's way easier. Another problem I usually have in the Shiny applications is, let's say you have if and there's some user input. So for example, let's call this user input and let's set it to null. And let's say user input equal to 1, for example. And if this is true, I want it, if this is not true, so let's set it to not equal to. If this is not true, let's print hello. If I run this, it's going to give us an error. Why? Because if you have null equal to something, it always returns a logical 0. So how can you go over this? You can use the identical, and this happens a lot in Shiny, that you have user input turn into null. So what can you do? You could use identical. If I use identical null and 1, it's going to give us false. What does identical also do? I could have like 1 and 1, and this is going to give us false. In R, normally if you have 1 and 1 like this, it's going to give us true. But in this case, let me zoom in a little bit. In this case, it gives us false, which is pretty great. Okay, so what do? I use percentage equal percentage, and I set this as a function of a and b, and I do identical a and b, and that's it. This is way easier to write in an if statement. User input percentage equals percentage 1, and if this is not true, I just can put a bang in here and I can print hello, and now it works. It's not going to give us an error. So these are this kind of like the basic understanding of what a special function is, and you can do a lot of great stuff with this, especially if you have if else statements and you need a lot of workarounds that usually would take a long time, but it's just a 2-argument function. You can do it like this, and this is especially good for booleans, for trues and not trues. But you could do it for more complex stuff. For example, some math operations. For example, in base R, if you have the percentage slash percentage, for example, 10 and 2, we run this, going to give us 5. It's going to give us the, well, how many times does this fit in this, pretty much. So yeah, there's a lot of special functions that you can use. I'm going to leave some in the description so that you guys can check it out. But know that you can create your own, and that's something that I think is pretty valuable. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.